Carrier Battle, Philippine Sea. This is your review for you. Good day, my name is Joe. Today we'll be going over Carrier Battle, Philippine Sea, and how it plays, well, solo. This is a solo game where you'll be controlling Task Force 58, which at the time of World War II, you are controlling these aircraft carrier task force, 4 different task force, and the task force with a whole bunch of battleships and cruisers. But you're going to launch planes, defend against raids, intercept those raids, find out about some of the Japanese ships, and hopefully by the end, you've kind of done well enough to win the scenario. So see a little bit more how to play. So in Carrier Battle, you are going to set up a certain scenario. There are 5 learning scenarios that come in the game, in the rule book, and they say, read a portion of the rule book and do this. And I really do like that about the game. But you're going to set up that scenario after you read the rules about it, and then kind of play it out a little bit. It was a little bit tough to follow because you don't have a whole bunch of feedback on exactly what you're doing right. The rules itself are a little bit larger, but you're going to be doing these scenarios where it's going to say, hey, today we're going to learn about air-to-air combat. Next, we're going to learn about Japanese strikes and how we can intercept them before they get to your ships and they potentially blow up your aircraft carriers, and they kind of progress through the game like that. But during the game, the Japanese are going to launch these airstrikes at you. They're going to be having these hidden movements in these forces that are going to go certain directions. You're going to learn more about those by searching. Then you're going to move some of your strike forces. And they may be airstrikes or they may be intercepting strikes. You'll have to manage the air missions. They have their own different fuels, own different fighters versus the actual kind of bombers, if you will, and different kind of force makeup over there. But you also have to manage your aircraft carrier. You can only, you can have so many planes take off versus servicing, getting them ready, and then kind of moving up this step ladder of they land, they go into the hangar, well, then they get serviced, and then they're ready to fly. And so it's kind of an interesting, mechanic over here in managing your strike forces, managing your aircraft carriers, all while trying to deflect some of the Japanese, they call them butais in this game, I believe. Pardon my, if I butchered that word. You're going to get an air strikes from Guam. So it's just a really interesting game. There's a lot more to this game, but that's kind of the high level overview. So let's see a little bit more what I thought about the game. So to go into the components, rules, and references. Components, well, I actually really like the components in this game. It really feels kind of cool. I like all the different aircraft. I like the different chits it has. The game itself is actually really well laid out, and I like the feel of this game. And then we go into the rules. And the rules, I didn't as much like the feel of. This rulebook is 60 pages long, and it was just kind of a slog to get through. I felt like I was starting to get the hang of each individual mission, and then we get to about to number scenario 5 and then 6, where I started the basic scenario, big scenario, and then you just kind of get lost in the sauce. It's just tough to find where you're at on all these little nuances. Now they tried a really good. They did the best they could with these reference sheets, but there are 5 or so reference sheets with front and back, plus a couple of extras, and it's just kind of overwhelming to me for this type of game. Let's talk about setup and table size. Setup, you are going to want to just keep this setup. There is no way you can finish this in one session unless you're doing some of the scenarios along the way. But even that, you'll want to have this out for a little while. I would suggest definitely an organizer if you're going to want to get this to the table a little bit quicker. So it will take you a little bit, especially once you set up the bigger scenarios with all the aircraft carriers, all the aircraft and everything on the table. It's going to take you a little bit. Table size, also going to take a little bit of table size, probably about 5 by at least 3, maybe 3.5, but it really looks cool on the table. So let's go into the gameplay. And I did say the rules are kind of tough, but that doesn't mean the gameplay isn't great. The gameplay in this game just kind of feels good. It feels nice to launch these aircraft, to have these ships. This is kind of the game I've always been searching for as far as aircraft carrier combat on a large scale. This is based in World War II, right before the end. And there's just a lot going on, and it just feels the theme really comes through in this game. You can see your air missions. They only have a certain amount of fuel left. You have to manage your aircraft, like I said, making sure you launch them at the right time, and you can't launch and land planes in the same turn. So you really have to plan on that. You don't want planes just circling up while you're launching them. They eventually have to land, refuel, and come back up. I love that about this game. I like that the Japanese also forces feel super weighty. When you see a Japanese force of 6, 4 carriers and then a cruiser and a battleship, and you're like, oh no, how am I going to get through those defenses? You launch your strike force at it, all while, Guam's coming at you, these different air raids. The theme of this game was great. I love in the rules that they had these thematic elements, these thematic nuggets throughout the game. This game is a labor of love, and the gameplay ties really well into the theme, and I really like that about this game. What I did have a lot of trouble with was there was no feedback mechanism that was telling me I was doing anything correctly. Once they stop kind of holding your hand a little bit and telling you this is how we play, and then they put it all together in that scenario 6 with the submarines, with the searching, once a turn, more or less, once every 80 minutes, I think they're calling it. You go through the action phase, you're wondering, am I doing this correctly? You're referring to different sheets, different rule books. There's a whole... I didn't feel like I got to play the game on the table, and that may just be because I didn't give it enough time, but to be honest, I gave it quite a bit of time because I got to scenario 6, played the first couple turns of it, and it's a lot just to get to this point. In multiple days of me reading the rule book, playing the scenario, reading the rule book, playing scenario, and it was fun every time. But once you get the full picture together, it was just tough for me. Now, for somebody who really wants to dig their teeth in, who can really take their time with the rule book and the reference sheets, this is a fantastic game. I don't want to take away my experience from how good and well designed and thought out this game is, but it is just not for somebody who picks up a casual game and expects, a war game. Combat is probably a little bit more my speed by Compass Games on the squad level base, and just the rules to that one a little bit more accessible if you want kind of a solo hex-based war game. But this is totally different. This takes like combat and like cranks it all the way to 11. This game is so cool. I wish I could like it more. I wish I had the motivation to keep going, but I'm kind of tired. I just don't know if I'm playing right. And I think that's the big point of the game is, am I forgetting this? Am I forgetting this? Having to reference the rule book, looking on the sheet, going, where is this on the sheet? As soon as a rule comes up that I just get stumped at, there's no easy way to figure it out. Like I said, 60 pages of rule books trying to just claw through that. It's just kind of a lot. There are some just tough mechanics in this game. They did a great job of trying to simulate the unknown, simulate the fog of war. It's very hard to simulate fog of war in a solo war game, especially a hex encounter type game. But they did a great job. These air raids are going to come at you, and they're not going to be launched from the ship that you see. You're going to see them maybe 2, maybe 3 hexes away, and all of a sudden you're like, oh no, they're in my face. I need to launch my ships. Hopefully they were in my my air protection area, and I can go launch a quick just intercept force. it got tough, because there's that portion, and then you can't launch a strike until you spot it, and then they degrade over time. But in the rule book, you just don't get that all the time. Can I launch a spotting force every turn? How many can I have out there? What happens if this? What happens if this? And there's so many little things in this game that I had trouble keeping track of. I can tell, like I said, that this game, maybe one day I'll give it another shot. But for me, I think this is enough. Like I said, played 5.5 scenarios, enjoyed it. But once I got to the final big battle and put it all together, I just couldn't do it. I play a lot of games, and maybe wargaming, I'm still just kind of a noob, if you will, kind of a intro to wargamer myself. But if you want a thick experience that is so immersive, if you can get into it and take your time through the rules, through the references, this is a fantastic game. I wish there was like a little bit more accessible version of carrier fighting, but I know this is an exhaustive game. It's very good. I couldn't quite keep my focus on the goal of this game. So I love this game. Not quite for me yet. maybe give it a few years of just settling down and going, okay, we'll try again. But this is a tough one to kind of get to the table for me. But man, I can see the labor of love in this game. So like I said, probably stick to my combat, where it's a little bit more accessible, a little bit easier on the solo wargaming side as far as the hex encounter. But man, if you're looking for a naval game about aircraft carriers and you want to sink your teeth into a game, this is an awesome game. Like I said, a little bit too much for me, and I hate to say that because I play so many games, play so many heavy games, but I just couldn't quite get this one down all the way. So once again, fantastic game. Take that as you will. Hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts and the review, and until next time.